What is going on? Welcome to the Courtside Talk with Eric podcast. My name is Eric Wilson. In today's episode, I'll be talking about my top 10 players in the NBA that are 25 years old or younger. Let's get to it. So before I start my top 10 list, I have two honorable mentions in Bam Adebayo and Gilgeous-Alexander. Bam Adebayo, he averaged around 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists last season. And Gilgeous-Alexander, he averaged around 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists last season. Now, SGA or Gilgeous-Alexander, whatever you like to call him, he is one of my favorite players, as he plays for my favorite franchise in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And just recently today, we found out we're going to get the 6th pick. I was kind of, a little sad because I expected us to get the first pick, but, it is what it is. But I feel like whoever we pair with SGA will be a great player. SGA is a very dynamic player. I've liked him since he was over with the Clippers, and I was so happy that we got him in that trade for Paul George. So I feel like he can be something very great in the league, especially when you get a team around him. We saw him play great in the playoffs, the bubble playoffs, and he's just a great player. As long as Bam Adebayo goes, he's a great two-way star for the Miami Heat. He's great over there with Jimmy Butler. And I expect great things for both two players. This is no slack away from them, but I feel like they did not make this top 10 list when I was making it up today. But besides that, let's get to our number 10 on the list. And coming in at number 10, we have the Memphis Grizzlies point guard, Ja Morant. The 2019-2020 Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant, had another stellar season with the Memphis Grizzlies. He averaged around 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. And he also led his team to the NBA playoffs where they faced the Utah Jazz, but were sadly taken out in 5 games. Now, Ja Morant had another great season paired with his counterpart, Jaren Jackson Jr., and a bunch of great role players down in Memphis. I see nothing but greatness happening around there. For a long time, Memphis, ever looking past the grit and grind era, it was pretty much nothing was going on, and around the scene we got Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant doing great things. So I feel like Ja is just one of those great players. He's very electrifying around the rim, very athletic. He reminds me of one of my former favorite players in the league, Russell Westbrook, before he lost the step and is now at the Wizards. But he really reminds me of Russell Westbrook, and I think one day he can probably supersede him. Thinks he does better than Russell, distributes the ball more. He's a better shooter, but they're around the same athletic wise, and I feel like Ja really has a very bright future ahead of him along with the Memphis Grizzlies organization, and they're really doing great things, and I definitely had to have my man Ja Morant coming in at number 10 on this list. Coming in at number 9, I have Brandon Ingram. For the 2021 season, Brandon Ingram averaged around 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists for the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, as Zion Williamson's counterpart, he has played great. He is doing the things that we thought he would do when we were comparing him to another lanky scorer, as in Kevin Durant. Now, that is one player that I think he can eventually try to become as he continues to work on his game down at New Orleans. Another thing that I like around his game is his field goal percentage. He's shooting around 46%, which is pretty high, and I feel like he has the potential to be a very great player in this league. Him and Zion are going to do some damage once there is a core group of guys. Like I was just talking around Memphis, they have not made the playoffs yet with 2 great players. Not only 2, they have 3 in Lonzo Ball. I just think they need to find the right coach at New Orleans, and bam, right coach, a couple of more great role players. You got Josh Hart, just got some guys over there, but you're not making the playoffs. So, just a little bit more tweaks with the roster, and bam, playoffs, and you continue to improve. But he's a great player, and I definitely had to have Brandon Ingram on this list. Coming in at number 8, I have Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had what some may call a breakout season last year, as he averaged 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. But the problem with the Boston Celtics, as both players were playing great, him and Jason Tatum, they did not have a great season. They did eventually go to the playoffs, but they were knocked out in 5 games by the juggernaut of the 3 big players in Brooklyn. But Jaylen Brown had a great season, and he really showed us that he's not just that 2 guy, that is the backup behind Jason Tatum, but he showed that he can eventually be his own person. He can eventually be his own player carrying a team. Now, he had a great season. This also questions, maybe he might be better without Jason Tatum. They both are great counterparts. They both play great together. They have a lot of chemistry, but I don't really see that happening. But it does bring to a question, how could they play with or without each other? They're 2 great players, but they did not have a great season. But Jaylen Brown, is just a great player. He can shoot the 3. He shot great from the field, almost around 50% last year. He's a great player, and there's no reason why you should not have Jaylen Brown on your top under or over 25 list. Coming in at number 7, we have Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns averaged around 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. Now, like Jaylen Brown, but worse, Karl-Anthony Towns' team did not have a great season. Now, I do not put this on Karl-Anthony Towns' back. I know that the Timberwolves organization is not treating Karl-Anthony Towns and the great prospects that they have great. The team organization is not surrounding great players around them. Now, that's the only problem, and that is one of the only things that is holding back Karl-Anthony Towns. You look at him, he's averaged more than 20 points for all the seasons that he's had. The only other time that he's not had 20 points was his rookie season, where he had 18. The rest, he's had 20 points. And along with that, he's averaged a double-double his whole career. There has to be some point where the organization comes together and they put a plan together to bring the team back on top. Now, the only time we saw this team back on top when they had Jimmy Butler, another great player along Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns, he's playing great. I don't think he needs to change anything about his game. He's a great passer for a big. He's a great shooter from a big. Also a great 3-point shooter for a big. He's one of the best bigs in the NBA. I just think the organization needs to do this man right. Get him some great pieces around him, and just maybe not even rebuilds, because we saw this team in the lower half of the NBA from how long he's ever been in the NBA. And that's horrible. You're just wasting his time. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is a great player, one of the best bigs, and Minnesota, this is a message to you. Do something for my man Karl-Anthony Towns, because he's wasting his time. He's wasting his time. He's a great player, but he's really wasting his time with Minnesota. Coming in at number 6, I have Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell had a phenomenal season last year. He averaged 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. Not only did Donovan Mitchell have a great season, but his team, the Utah Jazz, had a great season as they went number 1 in the Western Conference. They had 52 wins and 20 losses. Sadly, just recently, that team lost to the Clippers in the second round, where they lost in 6 games. Now, that's something you did not expect to happen with the number 1 seed. But along with that, D. Mitch played great. I've always compared this player to D. Wade. D. Mitch and D. Wade. I think they're both 2 alike players. And like I've said, he had a great season this year. I think this is nothing but the beginning for him and the Jazz. They could possibly, just continue to play great like they did this year, earning that number 1 spot. But he definitely deserves to be on this list. He's a great player. He plays great. Not only does he play great, but he also knows how to play well-rounded. He averaged around 6 assists this year, which is his career high, and around 5, which is also a career high. He also had a career high in points. He just played great. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning for my man D Mitch. Coming in at number 5, we have Mr. Ice Trae himself, Trae Young. Atlanta's own Trae Young averaged around 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists this year for the Atlanta Hawks. He had another great season, and he even is leading his team currently right now as we speak, the Atlanta Hawks, to the conference finals versus the Milwaukee Bucks. This playoffs, he's averaged almost 30 points and 10 assists, for the Atlanta Hawks, and he's played tremendous, beating the Knicks and then even beating the Philadelphia 76ers, and now they have to face the Mega Giant and Giannis and the Bucks. He's proven time and time again that he is not just a small guard, not just a small 6'1" guard who can shoot the 3, but he can do the most for this Atlanta squad, and he's playing great. And I'm just a big fan of his game. He's doing great with Atlanta, and hopefully, they play great against the Milwaukee Bucks maybe tomorrow, or if you're listening it, maybe today. And just hope Trae Young closes it out for the boys in Atlanta. Coming in at number 4, we have Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum averaged around 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists last year for the Boston Celtics. Now, the case that I said for Jaylen Brown is true also. They're a great team. They have 2 great players, but they did not win that much this season, and they did not do well in the playoffs. They did have a Jaylen Brown-less Boston Celtics in the playoffs, but they did not play well this season. But Jason Tatum has really elevated his game. He's just very great. He has a great mid-range game. He's becoming a better shooter. I really like his game. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but he's just so fluid. I love watching him play the game because he's just so fluid. It's like art. Basketball is art, but his art is just so beautiful. I'm a big fan of his game, and hopefully him and Boston can make up for what they did last season. Hopefully they do, but he definitely deserves a spot on this list. Now for our final 3. Coming in at number 3, we have the big man himself, Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson averaged around 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists this season for the Pelicans. He had another great season. He did not get the Rookie of the Year last year. He did not have a better season than John Morant, but that is arguable. But Zion, he's a great player. He's still that guy that we expect him to do. In the last couple of months, he's became a little bit overrated. Not overrated, but he's became a little bit underrated. A lot of people aren't talking about Zion like they were talking about him, maybe due to the losing that they had this season. And they did not have the greatest of coach and one of the Gundy brothers. But I feel like, if they just turn things around, like the same thing I said with B.I. Brandon Ingrams, they turn things around, things are going to be good. I still guard him as a possible person for the next crown of the NBA. How we had Michael had the crown, LeBron had the crown. Currently, KD's about to receive the crown. I feel like he's one of those players who can eventually have the crown in the NBA. And he's just a great player. He definitely deserves to be top 3, no question. Coming in at number 2 on my list, I have Devin Booker. Now, I have been saying this for a while now. I believe. Now, I heard Stephen A. say this also. I felt like it was great because I felt like I wasn't the only crazy person who was seeing this. I believe that Devin Booker can possibly become the next Kobe Bryant. Now, they have the same or comparison type-ish height and measurements. They're around the same height, around the same weight, around the same wingspan. They dominate in the mid-range game. They can take over games. They're great leaders. They have great mentalities. And I think that Devin Booker can possibly become that next Kobe. He's a great player. He's killing it with Phoenix. He had a 40-point triple-double without Chris Paul to beat the Clippers in Game 1, and they just recently beat the Clippers in Game 2. This man is ridiculous. He is absolutely bananas. I feel like he is a great player, and he's been very underrated. I've seen plenty of blog posts of people having him very low on their top under 25 list. This man kills, man. This man is great, and it's maybe it might be the CP3 effect. Maybe it might be that, but this man is killing this year. D-Book is D-Book. He's playing great, and I will stand with my take that Devin Booker may be the next Kobe Bryant. This year he averaged 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. It's bananas. He is bananas. I definitely might have wanted to have him above the next guy, but this next guy is just bananas also. This top 3 is just a great, great top 3. They're all great players. All 10 of these guys are great players, but Devin Booker definitely deserves to be on this list. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have my guy, Luka Doncic. Last season, Luka averaged around 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. This man is crazy. Now, I did say that Zion can probably most likely get that crown that I said MJ had when he was playing, or when LeBron had when he is playing. But before Zion gets this crown, I'm going to have to give it to my man Luka. He is the next one. He is next. I don't care who you ask. I don't care who says. I don't care who says his game isn't polished, or they say he shoots too much, or they say he's not an efficient shooter. This man is bananas. He is the next. He's the next one. He's the next one that's going to rule the league one day. Maybe after Kevin Durant is over. I'm not saying he's ruling it, but you could give it to LeBron James right now, or you can give it to Kevin Durant, whoever you think is ruling it. But after they're done with their siege of playing, you got to give it to my man Luka. He's next. I definitely need to talk to the Mavericks organization also, and Kristaps Porzingis. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have a great talent. We got a great player in Luka. Put some great guys around him. I thought the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis was gonna work. It's not working. Trade him. Get some great role players. Get some defensive guys. Just get some bodies in there. Get some good bodies in there, and we're good. And he's not gonna be knocked out of the first round like he did again this season versus the Clippers. He's great. I just think the organization needs to work on it, but Luka's that guy. Luka's definitely that guy under 25 or 25. He's that guy. That is about it, folks. Thank you guys if you're listening to the end. I have been on a long hiatus from either on the podcast or on YouTube. I recently just graduated high school, and I also recently got a job. So, it's hard, juggling. I'm about to enter university. So, it's hard juggling all this stuff, but I'm going to make sure I come back stronger than ever. And, just consistent. I definitely want to stay consistent. And thank you guys for listening. Remember, go follow me on all my social medias, all under Eric Wilson. My Instagram, Courtside Talk with Eric, and my Twitter, also Courtside Talk with Eric and Eric Wilson, which is my main page. And just remember, Courtside Talk with Eric, doing sports the 757 way. Thank you again.